What's up, guys? It is Corey from Super Kami Guru 9000, and it's a brand new year. It's 2014, and I think it's time that we take a look at the old anime collection. Now, me and Christian already did a video on the anime collection. It was split into two parts, and if you did not have a chance to check it out, I will put a link to both of those videos in the description box below. This way you guys can check it out, and you can take a look at all of the cool anime that have influenced my love of the entire genre. Now, today we're not going to go through the entire collection. We're just going to do a quick rundown of all of the new ones that I've added in. So let's just go ahead and jump in. It's going to be really exciting. So considering that our channel mostly focuses on Naruto, it only makes sense that we would start with this one. And this was the series that I picked up a lot this year next to One Piece. And there were a ton of releases from Viz Media this year, and all of it was really important. Most of it was canon material, and there were a lot of really good box sets here. The first one, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This was number 10. This one was really important because it had the Kakashi Chronicles in this episode, and this is sort of an important episode at this point in time because of what's going on in the anime right now. And this is also interesting because in these sets with the Kakashi Gaiden, Obito actually has his original voice actor, so if you want to see what that sounded like before they did the big change, this is a pretty cool set to check out. The set that's right after that, however, is box set 11. This one is interesting because it has a very homoerotic looking cover, which is hilarious. But this one focuses on the epic battle between Pain and Jiraiya, and this is, spoiler alert, obviously where Jiraiya loses his life, and this is going to be the big confrontation that Sasuke has with his brother Itachi, where, spoiler alert again, Itachi loses his life as well. This is just a really big action-packed set that is just a huge amount of fun. It's kind of the one you kind of have to have in your collection if you are collecting the Naruto series. Right after that, we do enter some filler zone, however, and I usually don't get the filler too much in this series, but this one's a lot of fun. This is the Six-Tail arc, and before they even get to the whole Six-Tail arc in this set, there is the monumentally badass episode of Sasuke getting his ass handed to him by Killer Bee, which is still probably one of my favorite episodes of the series. It probably is still my favorite Shippuden episode, and that's just what makes this one a lot of fun. But the Six-Tail arc, it's not really that long, it's very short, so they get through it real quick in one box set, and they even move on to the canon material, which is really awesome. Right after that, things get real serious. We enter the Pain arc. This is box set 13, which has an awesome cover. Take a look at that. It's a badass Hinata, freaking Naruto in his Six-Tail form. This is the beginning of one of the most fun arcs in the series, and one of the most devastating. And this is the arc basically where Naruto sort of comes into his own and he becomes the hero of the series. And this is sort of puts him on like Sasuke's level. This is when he starts to understand why Sasuke wants revenge, and it's a big turning point. Also, it's just got a lot of cool action. You got freaking Pain on the back. He freaking destroys the village. It's insane. He's basically like Godzilla destroying Tokyo. Konoha never survives anything. The next box set is another incredible one. It is box set 14. This is an awesome one because it immediately opens up with a battle where Naruto transforms into his Kyuubi form and he's fighting against Pain. This is a very controversial episode. I still think it's one of the best battle episodes of the entire series, and I definitely think it's worth checking out. This is also the very end of the Pain arc, so this is a very important box set to own, so I'm really glad to have this one in my collection. The next one is actually box set 16. You're probably wondering, what happened to 15? Well, 15 was all filler. I didn't really care for any of the stuff in it, so sue me. But this set right here is where things really kick up. This is the beginning of the Kage Summit. This is when Danzo decides that he's going to become the Hokage, and this is where Sasuke starts to become a huge outlaw, and this is sort of like the precursor to the big war. So this is another one that you kind of have to have in your collection. But the cool thing is, my most recent one is this one right here. It is box set 17. I actually literally just picked this up a couple of days ago. It's the most recent release, and this one is pretty much the end of the entire Kage Summit. It's where Sasuke fights Danzo, which is an episode that I really only watched once before, and when I saw it again in this episode, damn, it is such an amazing episode. The action is so fluid and incredible and really brutal. And honestly, it's better than a lot of the other things that I've seen in the series. I really wish they would put more attention into the fights like they did with the Danzo one. There's a lot of atmosphere in it that's missing in a lot of the other fights in the series, but I really enjoyed it. It's also the point where Naruto and Sasuke meet each other before they have their big reunion in the war. So this is just another big box set that you have to collect. However, it's going to be the last Naruto set that I am going to get for a while because we are about to go into some filler territory. That's where they introduce that ninja ostrich and all that other ridiculous bullshit, and I don't really care for that, but they are going to finally get to the stuff where Naruto finally begins to learn how to use Kurama correctly very, very soon. So this was a good year for Naruto. A large chunk of the series has finally been covered, and Viz Media, they're doing a pretty good job with the series. They're finally starting to release them at a much steadier pace. So please, Viz, keep releasing them. If I only have one thing to ask, why not put them on Blu-ray? So if you guys thought that I got a lot of Naruto this year, look at all of this freaking One Piece that has just been released by Funimation. Funimation, let me just go ahead and say this. Thank you so much for releasing this series so quickly and doing such a fantastic job on the dub and getting the series on Toonami and giving it so much more exposure. And thank you for just telling us that you're going to release the next season, Season 6, the Thriller Bark stuff, as soon as May. This is just fantastic. They released a ton of stuff this year. This is all Season 4, Season 5, and even a movie, so let's just go ahead and run through it because there's a lot to talk about. This is Season 4, Voyage 1. This is the very beginning of the Foxy arc, an arc that you either love or you hate. I think it's a lot of fun, I think it's very funny, and it's a nice introduction to show that the new world is not exactly going to be filled with a bunch of just like badass characters, but a lot of just really strange and crazy looking characters. And this is just a fun set that maybe not be for everybody, but for completionists, it's a must. Right after that, this is an interesting set here because I actually hate this cover. I think this is one of the weirdest looking Zoro images that I've ever seen, and I cannot believe they actually focused on like the seahorse right here, which is like a part of a filler that's in this set. And One Piece doesn't do a lot of filler. In fact, the filler in this set is only a few episodes long, and there's even a scene where you get to see Zoro and Luffy fight, which is honestly pretty cool. But the good thing about this set is it finally starts to get into the Water 7 arc, which is going into CP9. And speaking of CP9, let's just go ahead and start talking about that stuff. Season 4, Voyage 3. Monumentally important set because this is when they introduce Frankie into the series. So you're going to be able to hear him in English for the first time. And another reason this set is fantastic is because this is when Luffy and Usopp sort of have their very first falling out. Then this is all over the Going Merry, and they're trying to decide what to do, if they should get a brand new ship or if they should just leave the Merry behind. And the battle between Luffy and Usopp is actually one of the best fights of the entire series. It's made all the more intense by the fact that they're just such good friends with each other, and seeing them fight, like, they're really going for it. They're really trying to beat the crap out of each other, and they're not holding back. And that's what makes this such an interesting set. Things really start to pick up in the next one, though. Season 4, Voyage 4. This is when Nico Robin starts to become a little bit more important, and you start to learn why she's, like, so sought after by the world government. And this is also when you start to learn a little bit more about the CP9 members, and this is where, like, the big invasion of Water 7 starts. And it's brutal as hell. Like, getting to see all of the shipwrights get beat up by CP9 is really brutal, especially this one scene where I think it's Bluno who actually, like, punches this one guy and, like, knocks his head into these planks, and he does it repeatedly, and it's really intense. And this is when you realize that CP9 is not fucking around. And things get really intense in the very end of Season 4, Voyage 5. This is the end of Season 4. This one's good because Sogeking is here, and he's the alternate form of Usopp. Sogeking is very funny. He's like a classical, like, anime hero. He even has his own theme song. But this is where our heroes are finally making their way to Eni's lobby, where they're going to try and rescue Nico Robin. And this set is basically a lot of build-up, but it's still a lot of fun. You get to see Sanji going toe-to-toe with these guys in a big sea train. And essentially, it's just all like the big calm before the storm. Season 5 is where things really start to pick up. This is where the Eni's lobby arc truly begins. This is when they finally break through the gates. And pretty much everybody just starts fighting non-stop here. This is just where all the action just completely goes. And this is also where we get our very first backstory for Nico Robin, and we get to learn how her and her entire island and family were destroyed by the Buster Call that was sent by the world government. So this is an important set. This is kind of one that you have to have. And this is also where you get to learn that the main villain of this arc, even though he's not like a super powerful guy, Spandam, he's a complete and total dickhead. He's one of the most, like, hated villains I think I've ever seen in any series. He's a complete and total asshole. Season 5, Voyage 2 is when the Straw Hat Pirates and Frankie decide they're going to start fighting against the CP9 members, and this is where a lot of the big fights start to begin. One thing that I love most about this set, though, is it has probably one of the most famous fights in the series and one of the most famous moments in the series. You get to see Luffy using his Gear Third for the first time, which is very fun. He gets to fight against Bluno. It's one of the most, I'd say, brutal fights, and that's just because Luffy just messes him up so much. And it's the first time he's using Gear Third, so he doesn't really have full control over it quite yet. But another thing that's really great about this box set is this is when Nico Robin decides that she does want to join the crew. She doesn't want to die. I think we all know that big famous scene, which they reuse in flashbacks all the time. But this is still a really important set that you must own. But the next couple ones in Eni's lobby are definitely the best. This one right here is just another continuation of the last one, getting to see all the fights between everybody. You get to see the beginning of the fight between Kaku and Zoro, and you get to see Sogeking being a badass and shooting down the world government flag. And then, of course, you get the cover here, which gives away the big fight between Chopper and Kumadori, who's the weird sort of like lion kabuki fighter. It's kind of hard to describe how he is, because he's a very strange character, even by One Piece standards. But again, this is just an excuse to see the Straw Hat Pirates show off their brand new abilities and be badasses, and to try and save Nico Robin. But the best part of frickin' Enies Lobby is right here. This box set right here. This is the one I picked up most recently. This is the very end. This is where Luffy has his ultimate battle with Rob Lucci. And I saw the fight once before years ago, and I thought it was okay. When I finally got to watch it on DVD again, it blew me away by how intense and awesome it really is. Just the choreography that they give to Rob Lucci is a lot of fun, but it's honestly the way that Luffy finishes him off with his jet Gatling that's just so incredibly awesome. You feel every hit, and you're there with him the entire time because you can feel the struggle. And they even fight for, like, I believe a little over 10 episodes. It's a lot of the times it only focuses on it for just a little bit, but every single part of their fight is incredible, and it doesn't hurt the fact that he could transform into a giant leopard dude, which just makes it really, really interesting. But they also gave us another big surprise this year. Even though they're only up to Season 5 right now, they actually released this One Piece movie, Strong World. And the reason I say that's interesting is because this actually has Brook in it. Brook has not been introduced in the series yet, but this was sort of a way to sort of introduce what his voice actor is going to sound like. And I only watched a little bit of the dub just to see what it would sound like. And you know what? I approve. He even has the yo laugh. He actually has it down pat. I'm not going to lie. It actually works. But this right here is one of my favorite anime movies of all time. Just so gorgeous and incredible. It fits within the confines of the series. It literally feels like an important arc. All of the characters get to do something interesting. Nami is in it. It's focusing on her a lot, but she's not a damsel in distress. She's a badass. And the artwork is incredible, and it's actually written by the author of the series, which gives it a lot more credibility. And it blows me away, because a lot of the times when they have these spin-off movies that are based on anime series, sometimes they can be kind of lackluster, like some of the Naruto movies. But this really stands on its own. It is absolutely gorgeous. It might not get people into the One Piece anime series. They might be questioning some stuff about it. But if you're a fan, you have to check it out. And especially check out Funimation's release on Blu-ray and DVD. On Blu-ray, it looks just incredible. So more One Piece is never a bad thing. It's definitely a treasure trove of an anime series. And I cannot wait to see some of the stuff from Season 6 and Thriller Bark. We're closing out the big three with Bleach. Now, there weren't a lot of Bleach releases this year, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there was a lot of filler. And maybe that's what led to the series' demise. But the sets that I got here are really fun anyway, and I think my favorite thing about them are actually the packaging, which is really not even all that important, but they sort of break the trend with all the other ones, which they were all white, singular looking, and very boring. But these are really like just eye-popping and awesome, and I love the covers here. Pretty much all the sets here have to do with the Arrancar arc and a lot of the big battles that Ichigo and his friends are having with the Espada. So a lot of stuff here is really great if you're an action junkie. A lot of crazy powers, a lot of just Hueco Mundo stuff, and this is also the beginning with the final battle with Aizen. But this set right here is important. It finally gets into her backstory a little bit, which is very important to her character. But honestly, this one is just sort of the build-up. This is the calm before the storm. Things really start to pick up in this one right here, which gives us our entire backstory on the Vizards and why they became the way they are. And this is also leading into the very big battle with the Aizen, which really starts to pick up here. This is when they go to the fake Karakura town, and this is where they start to all fight against each other, which goes on for quite some time. But, you know, if you're into that sort of thing, you're going to enjoy it. This is really the height of the entire arc, and I really wish I had more to show you from Bleach. They actually had another set that came out after this, but it was all filler, so I didn't really want to pick it up. And they actually just had another one that they released, which is the battle that Ichigo has with the Rukiora, which is one of the best episodes of the entire series, so I cannot wait to get that one in my collection. But still, Bleach is almost coming to a close in terms of the anime. It's coming close to the end of its run on Toonami. So we got to support this series if we want to see more from it in the future. So if you're a fan of the series, check these out. They're from Viz Media. They're really, really fun. Funimation again proves why it's one of the best anime distributors, and that's because they had just licensed one of Toei's big shows, a show that is so popular that people consider it an actual part of the big three, and that is Toriko. I was very reluctant about this show at first. I thought it was just going to be another run-of-the-mill shonen show, you know, the power of friendship, we're going to beat up the bad guy, end of the story. But there's actually a lot more to this show, and it's really just a big adventure. This is essentially the bastard child of Dragon Ball Z and One Piece. And the main focus of the show is about Toriko as he goes on these big adventures looking for rare ingredients and creatures to fight against so that he can eat them. That's the whole focus of the show, is food. And that makes the show really interesting and hilarious because at the beginning of every single episode, they build up the fact that this world is filled with ingredients that we cannot even conceive. We're talking about plants that are made out of hamburgers, flying insects that you can grab and eat that are literally made out of jelly beans, like that type of shit. And then there are these other big-ass monsters which, like, can literally rip you to shreds, but if you manage to capture them, they'll make you super powerful and they're like really rare ingredients. And I know that seems like it doesn't even work and it seems like it'd be retarded, but this series, man, it works. And the action is so much fun. And Toriko, he's sort of like a combination of like Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star and Goku. More Kenshiro's looks and more of Goku's personality. But his actual abilities pertain to food as well. He has the fork and knife abilities. And really the whole bulk of the box sets that Funimation has released this year is just about Toriko and being introduced to his world and all the things that work within it and getting to be introduced to all of his friends, which are just as ridiculous as he is. And you also need to realize that this show is based on an ongoing manga series, so it's definitely a little bit behind, and it does have some slow pacing at some parts, but when there is action, it's explosively fun. I've been told that the manga version is a lot more violent, and there really isn't any blood to speak of in this series, and I find that funny because a lot of the fights that they have are extremely gruesome, and even limbs get ripped off, but there's almost no blood to be seen. However, whenever there is like a big action scene, in particular, there was one in this box set right here, it was just mind-blowing. It was so much fun, and they do things differently that a lot of other series aren't doing. They're taking advantage of its uniqueness. And don't be put off by the weird character designs. You know, I really got to thank One Piece, because if it wasn't for liking One Piece, I really wouldn't even look at this show right here. I would just, fuck it. But you know what? This is one of my new loves. Funimation needs to go ahead and start releasing more of these because they're so much fun. Toriko is becoming even more popular than ever, and I can see why. It's just one of the most fun series I've ever seen, and it just puts a big smile on my face. And it's the perfect show for stoners, too, because it's all about food. Like most, I got started with anime through Toonami, watching stuff like Dragon Ball Z, and then eventually I moved on to Adult Swim, and they started showing shows like Cowboy Bebop and Inuyasha. And throughout the course of the entire show, it was really great. I enjoyed it, I watched it with my friends, and then it just sort of fell off and it ended. And then eventually, years later in Japan, they released a sequel series, Inuyasha: The Final Act, which didn't get released in the States until a couple years later, and I'm finally glad they did because in the last anime collection video, I even mentioned, this media, where the hell is this? Why isn't this in my collection yet? And lo and behold, 2013, they have finally released it in 2 Blu-ray box sets, Inuyasha: The Final Act. I really don't have too much to say about this series other than that you either love it or hate it. It's a feudal fairy tale of sorts. It takes place in old ancient Japan about a girl going back in time and going up against demons, and there's intrigue, and it's a love story, and there's action and adventure. It's classic storytelling is what it is in anime form, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But my favorite thing about Inuyasha: The Final Act, though, is that compared to the TV series, this one has much higher production value. The animation is considerably better. It's pretty much movie quality when compared to the rest of the series. And yet they still managed to use all of the old music from the original series, which makes it seem like an exact continuation of it. And I loved it for that. So Inuyasha: The Final Act, it concludes the series. It has a really nice ending. It'll leave you feeling all bubbly inside. So make sure and check out this series if you want to take a look at ancient Japan in all of its splendor and glory, and to see just an orgy of demons. The big three have also had a few movie releases this year, and some of them were pretty cool, some of them were okay. This first one is Naruto Shippuden: The Will of Fire. This is one of the best Naruto movies. What I think I love about this one is it sort of cuts the bullshit. They don't include any unnecessary, annoying characters for Naruto to interact with. It's just Naruto, his friends, Kakashi, weird villains, and tons of action. And it's a feast for the eyes. This is the way all the Naruto movies should have been from the beginning, instead of trying to give us some stupid hand-fisted lesson. This is an awesome movie. Check it out. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. This one, on the other hand, is pretty controversial, and it's a Blu-ray release. This is Naruto Shippuden, The Lost Tower. This is actually a cool movie because Naruto goes back in time and he's able to interact with his father, Minato Namikaze. Sounds like a really interesting concept. Well, sometimes the concept is more interesting than the actual product. And, you know, this is a cool movie because there's some decent action scenes and the animation's pretty good for the most part, but it does suffer from some of the problems of the other Naruto movies by focusing on a lot of unnecessary characters. But still, if you just wanted to see Naruto hang out with his dad and see some really cool shit explode and some giant freaking like statue monsters fight against Naruto, then this is the movie for you. And it's on Blu-ray, so it looks gorgeous. But the last one is Bleach the movie Hellverse. This is the last Bleach movie, and it's a shame because it's so awesome, guys. This looks like it could be an arc from the series. And again, this one is sort of an excuse for animation, and you know, it's just to sort of see the cool action scenes. But for the most part, the story is actually pretty interesting. The villain has a really good motive, and he has a nice little twist at the end of the movie that makes it interesting. But my favorite part about this movie is that Ichigo actually has a brand new form in the movie that's never been seen in anything before. He has this like skull armor that appears all over his body, and it's just unique to the movie, and it makes it very unique. This is the last Bleach movie, and it's probably one of the last things I'm going to buy from Bleach, which is a shame. Again, we need a new Bleach anime series. It just needs to happen. There's credence for us. I know there's fans out there. So check this one out. It's the final Bleach movie. Check out some of these other Naruto movies. They're actually getting ready to release Blood Prison next month, so you know I'm definitely going to pick that one up. Let's switch the gears a little bit. Let's go from the power of friendship to the power of fucking shit up. This is Berserk, The Egg of the King, The Golden Arc 1. This is an awesome movie. What I think I love most about Berserk is that it's so mainstream and awesome that you can buy this in a freaking Best Buy. They won't ever sell this at like any other store. You can go into a store and buy Berserk. That's what I love. They're actually marketing this series to Americans. But this brand new trilogy is sort of a mixed bag for a lot of people. It's sort of a love-hate thing. I really enjoy it because I'm a Berserk fan. I think it's a nice companion piece to the series. It'll never outdo the original anime series, guys, let's face that. Even though the original anime was not as good in terms of animation, it just had that rich atmosphere. But this one has all of the gorgeous animation, some incredibly sweeping, massive action scenes that rival stuff you'd see in even Lord of the Rings. And it's also just sort of a quick retelling of the fall of the Band of Hawk and how Griffith came to power and how Guts sort of became the Black Swordsman. This is the first two movies. They're going to be releasing the third one very soon. This is done by Viz Media, the guys who have been working on Naruto and Bleach. And just, this one's nice. It's a good mixture of traditional animation and CG animation, and it's just not for the faint of heart. In fact, it's definitely like, I think it says explicit warning, age of 18. So make sure that you don't have any kids see this because it's got a lot of violence. There's some intense sexuality in it. A lot of just really messed up imagery in general. And what's funny is this is just the first two movies. The third one is just a blood orgy of massive, massive proportions. So I cannot wait to see the third one released. Check these out from Viz Media. So if you thought the blood orgies were over, you were completely wrong. Things are about to get even bloodier than ever, because we're talking about Helsing Ultimate, the series that has completely surprised me. My favorite thing about this series is that when I picked it up, I actually picked it up around Halloween, and this is like the perfect type of anime for that time of year. It involves vampires and vampire Nazis and freakish giant werewolf men and people flying blimps into a giant building with a giant sniper rifle from miles away. This series right here, guys, is why anime exists in the first place. And it bugs me a lot because it's so good, and it's only a couple of episodes long, and Funimation has not released the last two episodes of the series yet. Funimation, what's wrong with you? Do you not love me? Do you not want to entertain me with your badass vampire anime? Take my money, damn it! I want more! This series is about Alucard, which, just, you know, look at the name backwards, you'll know who he is. The point is, Alucard is the most badass vampire of all time, and he's going up against an army of Nazis who are trying to take over London, and it's just a feast for the eyes, guys. This is not a show for the faint of heart. It's kind of like Berserk in a sense that it's completely relentless with its violence. It doesn't give a shit. It even has a scene where a vampire Nazi is eating a baby live on screen, so if you're not really into that thing, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you ever wanted to see what happened if the Vatican decided to become badasses and fight against vampires, this is the show for you. Also, it's sort of like getting close to the conclusion of this OVA, which is based on the manga series. So it definitely starts to ramp up towards the end, and it just is non-stop action. Every episode is important. It's kind of convoluted at the beginning, but the more it goes into the series, the more you'll start to appreciate it and realize how crazy it is, and you'll be wondering, where was this series my entire life? So of all the shows that I picked up, this was one of the most surprising ones that I got. And if you're ever wanting to watch just a really fun action anime on Halloween, this and Soul Eater are the shows for you. And so there it is, guys. We just ran through a lot of the new additions in the anime collection. 2014 is going to be a good year. There's going to be a lot of brand new Naruto, brand new One Piece. There's even going to be the impending release of Attack on Titan from Funimation. Yeah, it's going to be really good. It's going to be Blu-ray DVD combo. I cannot wait to pick that one up. And hopefully they'll decide to put that OVA on the collection too. That'll be a lot of fun. Point is, 2014 is looking really bright. Toonami is in full swing. Space Dandy is on TV, so that's going to be released as well. There's just a lot of good stuff right now. It's a great time to be an anime fan. So if you guys did check out some of the series that I was talking about today, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and you can let me know with your comments below. Remember, guys, before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. Definitely one of the best ways to support our videos. And remember, if you didn't get a chance to watch the other anime collection video, it will be in the description box below. So I'll see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000 out.